I wanted to create something that felt so human and raw and embrace that. I experienced a lot of anger a few years ago about something and I didn't know how to get it out.
Pressure isn't there to perform commercially.
I feel like I could have walked away and thought like I've achieved everything I want to achieve.
Hello and welcome to the Eras podcast, where we get to know the music and moments that have made your favourite artists who they are today. I'm your host, Abbie McCarthy, and in this episode, I sit down with the super talented Scottish singer-songwriter Nina Nesbitt. She's entering a new era as a fully independent artist and label boss, and she's one of those people, she always has so many good stories to share. Welcome to the Eras podcast, Nina Nesbitt. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Really good, thank you. I was expecting you to be in an amazing mood because you've just been supporting the absolute icon that is Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
How was it?
What the hell? It was, I feel like it didn't happen now. I feel like it's one of these weird dreams that you have. It was incredible. It was 4 dates and they all happened very mysteriously. So the first one was Hyde Park, which is just wild to me. And me and my friends started as a joke, like a bit of a manifesting thing. And we were like, right, my 30th birthday is the day after. We need a party. Stevie Nicks is playing Hyde Park. What better way to celebrate? So we were like, right, one of my dreams is to meet Stevie Nicks, like play a show with Stevie Nicks. So we just started manifesting it. There was all the Tube posters and my friends were like photoshopping my name onto them. We sent them to my agent and then somehow I got offered the slot. And then it all, one thing after the other, someone on TikTok said to me, oh, she's playing Glasgow as well. So then I was like, we need to try and make this happen. And they all just happened. So it was, magical.
You really did manifest it as well.
But I do think they say she's got these kind of psychic abilities.
Yeah.
So maybe she heard me. I don't know.
I genuinely believe that with somebody like her. Maybe she
so.
Actually did pick up on it.
She picks up on my vibes.
Oh, that's so incredible. And the photo you posted of the two of you together as well is it's amazing. Like how was she? Like, was she just everything you wanted her to be?
Yeah, and more. She was iconic. I just feel like she's such an icon.
Yeah.
And they say never meet your idols, but I'm glad that I met Stevie Nicks. She was, I brought her a huge glass bottle of Iron Brew, the original unimproved version.
Amazing.
I don't know how excited she was.
Do you think she's just being polite, like?
I'm not sure. She did ask, "What is it?" So I then actually didn't know. It's just Iron Brew.
Need to get that photo framed ASAP.
I'm gonna, definitely.
Where are you going to put it, like mantelpiece?
Yeah, I'm going to put it in every room.
Wallpaper.
Yeah, bed sheets.
Just so people know you supported Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
And Stevie's obviously not your only like high profile fan. Taylor Swift has shown you so much love over the years. Like, how did that first start?
I basically picked up a guitar because of Taylor Swift when I was 15. Much like every other singer-songwriter out there. And I was in the back of my music class. I heard either Love Story or 15 and the songs just really spoke to me. I think I grew up with a lot of pop music and a lot of like big vocal divas and I was never that. But when I heard Taylor Swift, I was like, it's a young girl playing an instrument, telling her own stories, and I was just so inspired by it. So that's kind of where it began and still a massive fan now. And she somehow heard my music and has put it on her playlists and sent lovely little packages with her album releases. So it's truly crazy, quite frankly.
There was a moment where she went on stage. It was like the Billboard Women in Music Awards, and like she named you as like one of the artists that she was really loving. Like, those kind of moments must be so surreal.
Yeah, my boyfriend actually woke me up at like 5 a.m. Don't know why he was up. And he was like, wake up. And
it's urgent.
Yeah, I was like, God, there's a fire. We've been burgled. Someone's died. Like, what is it? And he was like, go onto your Twitter. I went on and it was just like, all these people, like, Taylor's mentioned you. Oh my God. It's just so cool. It's like a full circle moment, I guess. I still think it's quite surreal, really.
It's amazing. Like you say, she's the reason that you started, and then there's kind of like a bit of a a bit of a friendship, some support there. That's
so
incredible.
Nice.
Does she invite you to shows and stuff as well?
Well, we were lucky enough to go to the Eras tour in Edinburgh, and we had a little VIP tent, which was so cool.
What do you think has been like your biggest pinch me moment? I mean, outside supporting Stevie Nicks and having this kind of musical bond with Taylor Swift.
Honestly, getting to do this as a job is just completely surreal to me. Like, I left school, I had a job at River Island where they wouldn't even tail train me because I was so shy and just like unapproachable.
Unapproachable? Is
just
that what
unapproachable, yeah.
Stop.
So I was just kept in the changing room. But anyway, and then I've went on tour and I've never stopped. And for me to do this as a career 10 years on, like, it's just so cool. So that is definitely one. And then also singing with Chris Martin, obviously, is a highlight because Coldplay are just one of my favourite bands. And I got to sing with him, well, the whole band, at Hampden in Glasgow. Yeah, it was just such a spontaneous, like, last minute thing. And to sing in front of a stadium that's all, you know, it's all dark. They've got the light up wristbands and again, just totally surreal, but very cool.
You hear like the nicest things about Chris Martin, don't
Yeah.
you? Like, he really is just a lovely soul, I think.
Yeah.
Can you confirm or deny?
100%. And not even just him, like the whole band, the whole crew, every single person on that tour was so welcoming. And I've said before, like, when you're a support act, sometimes it's just like, you know, go away. Like, you're annoying.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to run a show. But Coldplay were just so accommodating and lovely. And yeah, very, very cool experience.
And as a pop star, I'm sure you've had some silly nights out or been invited to like some kind of like exclusive events over the years. What do you think's been like the wildest one?
One of the wildest ones, probably my manager and I went to Hong Kong, which was already wild. Like, I couldn't believe we were in Hong Kong, like, how exciting. And then we randomly met Justin Bieber, and he was like, I'm having a karaoke night, come along. Again, I was like, I just feel like I'm in some sort of weird dream.
Yeah.
So we went along and we thought this is going to be like, you know, loads of people, a big party, Justin Bieber in Hong Kong. So I'd had a few drinks. I was a little bit drunk at this point. And I walked in and it was literally him, Kendall Jenner, and a security guard. And
That's it.
Me and my manager absolutely steaming, like, just trying to keep cool. And then my manager, Vicky, she's my Kris Jenner. She is like always on the hustle. Mm-hmm. She's like, Nina, this is your time. Like, you need to get up and sing a song. And Justin Bieber's, he's going to see you. He's going to invite you on tour. And I was like, Vicky, this is so embarrassing. But I had that, you know, Dutch courage in me. Yeah. So I got up and I did the most horrific rendition of Unfaithful by Rihanna. And I'm just not a karaoke person. Like, I want my plugins, I want my compression, I want my reverb.
Yeah. Do you know? Like bit more reverb, bit more noise in my cans. They're like, it's karaoke, babe. Yeah.
So I got up and I was so drunk that the microphone was going near the speakers and it was feeding back.
Oh, stop.
And he put a Snapchat up going, my ears. Yeah. So that was that. He was absolutely lovely though.
Oh, was he?
They were all
nice
so sweet. Luckily, more people eventually showed up, but that was the night.
Wow. So not even much small talk. It was like, we're just here to do karaoke.
And he sung karaoke the whole night.
Okay, what were his songs? What did he pick?
I can't remember.
Not
I can't remember much of it, to be honest, but
but a good time.
He was great. His voice on karaoke sounded amazing.
Okay.
It's a sign of a true artist.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
Because then you have supported Justin Bieber.
I did.
But did that actually come from that or no?
It didn't.
Right,
no,
okay.
And I don't think he even knows that I was at that show. I hope he doesn't know, to be honest.
Is that girl that hurt my ears?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll keep that one quiet.
You have supported some amazing artists over the years. Mm-hmm. Coldplay even mentioned, Justin Bieber. People that are like global icons. It was like LeAnn Rimes the other day.
Yeah.
As well. Queen. I mean, how were each of them?
So lovely. I do think to get to that point in your career, you have to be a nice person. To be doing it for that long, like you are going to have ups and downs in your career. And I think when you're doing well, I think people can quite easily be like a bit of a prick and get away with it. But I think when you're not doing well, if you are, like, no one's going to want to help you out of that situation. So I think all the people that are up there at the top and have been for so long, that I've met anyway, are all lovely. And I feel like they're all there for a reason, you know? I think you can see through it.
And how do you find it actually doing these support slots? Because obviously you're going out sometimes at stadiums or in front of thousands of people in this huge venue, which is an amazing opportunity, isn't it? To showcase you, your music, but people are there to see the headliner. People don't necessarily know you. So like, do you have to approach these shows in a different way? I always wonder if like the pressure's on or is it off, because there kind of is an expectation there, is there, from the audience?
I think the pressure's definitely off in terms of like it being a support slot. A headline show's so much more stressful. Yeah. But I think, you're turning up with no expectations from the crowd, I guess. Some of them probably haven't even heard of me. So for me, it's like I've got nothing to lose. I'm just going to go out there and have fun and see if anyone likes me. But it can be tricky. I think I've been doing it for so long now as well. And I'm like, I really hope that I can build up my headline shows and get to that point that I want to get to. I just think it takes a lot of time. But you've got to put in the hustle, got to put in the work. Yeah. And I have thoroughly enjoyed all the support slots that I've had recently. I think just playing those big venues is really inspiring.
Some other exciting news is that you've got your very own record label, Apple Tree Records. Love the name. Did it just feel time to kind of be fully in charge of your own music? Yeah,
I think I got signed when I was 17 to a major label. Did that for a few years, got shelved, got dropped, got picked back up again by an indie label, then left them eventually. And I was at a point where I was like, what do I do now? Like, where do I go from here? And I have a great manager called Vicky.
Love Vicky.
She's a Geordie lass. And we've worked together since I was 17. We have literally been through everything together. And we were like, shall we just start a label? Why not? So here we are. And it just feels like a time where a lot of the work is put on the artist and the manager. And a lot of it's out of your control. I think a lot of it's just whether a song connects on social media or going on tour or running your own marketing campaign, quite literally. So I just thought, if we're having to do it all anyway, let's do it all. Let's fully do it all.
Let's do this.
Yeah. And it's so nice because we get to hire people that we like as well. So we're like, this person genuinely cares about the project. And it's a nice vibe.
I'd love to find out more about it, and I'm sure the fans would as well, because they'll know a little bit about the inner workings of the music industry. Yeah. But, you know, if you sign to a major label, the kind of percentages aren't always necessarily in your favour, but the cut that you're giving them means you get like a full team, right, that are working on your music, promoting your music. But for you now, you're the boss. How does that all work? Like, what does it involve? Must be a lot of work.
Yeah, it's great. I quite enjoy being the boss.
Yeah, come on, she's a boss now. Oh my God, so you are actually a CEO.
I'm a CEO.
Oh my God, what a serve that is. So good.
I'm a CEO. So it's a lot. I will say, you find out everything as well, because I think before, especially when I was younger, I was just like the artist signed and go through quite a lot of people.
Yeah.
So if there's anything negative, maybe like get watered down by the time it got to me. Whereas now you find out everything that people think.
Yeah.
You really are. You have to have thick skin, I think, which is something that I don't really have because I'm a songwriter and
I'm sensitive.
Cancerian, you know. But I'm learning to have thick skin and be a CEO.
Oh. Yeah. And you're literally, out out there doing it all.
Out there doing it. Yeah, like I have to go and do the meetings at Spotify and Apple, and I come in with my presentation, and it's quite fun.
That is fun though. I actually think that must be really nice as the artist to genuinely be able to present yourself.
Yeah, and I obviously really care about it. So yeah, I think sometimes when it's a major label, maybe someone will inherit you who isn't really into it, and it's just nice to go in and like fully love what you're doing and be excited about it, and hope that other people are as well.
When you sign to a major label, especially, there's like a pressure, isn't there, to perform commercially?
Yes.
Which means it might actually change the essence of the music that you make, whereas you can just make music on your terms, genuinely the music that you feel is right for you.
Totally. And I think, when I was on that major label, I felt huge pressure to fit on a radio and all that stuff. And I think nowadays it's just so much more opportunity to explore different areas of music. And I think the artists that I love are so authentically themselves. Like, for example, Ray, Charlie XCX recently having their like huge moments, and they've been going for so long, and they've really I think been through it with the industry as well. And to see them just fully embrace themselves and take like creative risks and risks in the industry. Like Ray has gone independent obviously as well, and to see it pay off is like so inspiring.
That feels like the moment that you're having though, where actually, because you've been through it, maybe you've found you found yourself and what you kind of want from the industry.
Yeah, I think so. And I think I've always sort of sat between pop and singer-songwriter, and even, this is like quite niche, but even being a Scottish musician and having a Scottish accent and not having an example of that growing up. A few people have said to me, why are you singing in an American accent? You're Scottish. And I'm now thinking, why do I sing in an American accent? I don't know. It's just programmed in me. But for the next one, I'm thinking, I need to get some more Scottish out.
Yeah,
do you know what? Like fully embrace it.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a lot of that, sort of just taking away anything that's, I guess, been watered down and embracing that.
And Apple Tree Records, where does that name come from? I wondered if it was like an early nod to one of your EPs.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
So she's done her research. So Apple Tree, the song, and the EP was the first thing that I put out with my manager, Vicky, and we put that out independently in 2012. And that's the song that sort of started everything for me. It got playlisted on Radio 1 out the blue, and that's how I got my record deal. Like, that's how everything sort of began. So it seemed like a good little nod to where we've started. And I just love apples as well, to be honest.
And what's your favourite apple?
I'd say Pink Lady.
Oh yeah, now we're talking. The crunch, unbelievable.
Yeah, good. It's like sweet, but still.
Is that in the logo? Can you tell it's a Pink Lady?
It's actually a
it's
tree.
Apple Tree, isn't it?
I didn't want to get sued by Apple, so.
And is there like a plan to sign other artists at some point?
I would love to sign other artists. I've said before, like Vicky coming from Newcastle, me coming from Scotland. I know it's probably different now with TikTok and the likes, but when I started, I found it near impossible to actually get heard and make industry contacts, because I was literally in a village in the middle of nowhere. I auditioned for the X Factor, didn't get through, thank God. And it just seemed so far away from me. And luckily I was able to work my way in there. But I would love to sign artists from where I'm from and kind of help give them a bit of a platform. But also, I need to figure out how to run a label first.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going to put out this record and then hopefully it goes well, and I would love to.
Tell us a little bit more about where you grew up, because it's a tiny little place, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I'm one of these people that moved about a bit, so I don't really know where I'm from, but grew up in Livingston, and then I moved to a small village, which is where I say home is, because that's what I remember most, called Balerno. No one's ever heard of it. And it's this tiny little village outside Edinburgh. And all I wanted to do was get out really and see the world and do exciting things, live in a big city. And now that I'm older, just turned 30, I'm starting to think that village was actually quite nice.
Oh, you're almost craving that again, that slightly like slower pace of life.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you have these things come up on your feed, but all this like slow living stuff. My dream is just to live in the middle of nowhere in a little cabin and
just chilling.
Just grow my own veg. And so I think the village girl in me is returning.
And how was it getting started in music, being from somewhere like that? Because like you say, I guess you didn't really have any role models necessarily. There wasn't like a proper music scene, was there?
Not really, no.
A few venues, I guess, in Edinburgh and like the other cities around Scotland. But yeah, how was it like just getting started?
It was really tricky. And I started a YouTube channel when I was 15. So that helped. But I think nowadays people have so many more opportunities to get seen. You know, you could literally post a TikTok and be famous overnight. You know, your song could be in the charts the next week, which is amazing because I feel like it slightly levels the playing field. I definitely, felt like a bit of an outsider. And when I eventually got to move to London, I just felt so out my depth. Like I just thought everyone was my best friends and like...
You're like, hi everyone. Yeah, and in London, like, nobody does that, do they?
Yeah. So it was a learning curve, but yeah.
What would you say success looks like to you? Obviously, the record label, you've had so many kind of great shows and moments throughout your career. But yeah, I wondered how you would define success because I feel like you've already had such longevity.
I think there's two different types of success. I think there's like personal success, which I would say is, for me, making an album that I love and that I'm proud of and that I don't feel like I've compromised on. That's already like, that's success creatively and personally. But then I think commercially, obviously I'm running a label. So there's that. I think you're always going to want the next thing a little bit.
Yeah, the goalposts are always shifting, aren't they?
Yeah. So I feel like after my album, The Sun Will Come Up, The Seasons Will Change. I feel like I could have walked away and thought like I've achieved everything I want to achieve.
Really?
Yeah, genuinely. Like I made an album I loved. I toured the world. I got to see places I never would have seen. And I got to get my dogs a garden. And that was my goal. And it happened. And then it was like, I don't know, what is success really now? I don't know. I guess one thing I'd love to do, which is quite unrealistic, but I'm manifesting.
You've done it before, you can do it again.
Is to play the hydro in Scotland.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think that seems so ridiculous that it would be like, that would feel just surreal. So I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also another kind of success marker, you've got over 1 billion streams.
I know, this is what I'm saying, I don't know.
That's just like, it's mind-blowing numbers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think as well, like when I got dropped by the major label when I was younger, I thought my career's over. I actually quit being an artist. I became a songwriter for like 2 years. And then I released that album that got me to the 1 billion streams, did it on an indie label. And I think I could have so easily given up and just thought, oh, my time's over. And I think I always remember that now when I think, oh, maybe my time's come to an end, or, you know, you have those moments, don't you? Especially as a creative, I think.
God, the doubt creeps right in, doesn't it? Yeah.
And I think having sort of come back from that and had my most success in the 1 billion streams, like I keep that with me now, and I think you literally never know what's around the corner. So
do you think maybe that's why you're creating with a new sense of freedom? Because you're kind of like, I've actually achieved everything maybe I set out to do. Let's just make something that feels really genuine and authentic, which this new album does, to me anyway. So yeah, mountain music.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? Do you feel like you've been your most honest?
Yeah, I love this album. I know everyone says it when they release an album.
I really do.
I really think it's my favourite thing that I've ever made. And again, everyone says this, but it just feels like the record that I've always wanted to make and dreamed of making. And I think now, not having that sort of, you know, you need to fit onto radio, or you're on a major label and you need to be this. Like, just to have that freedom. Again, I kind of was just songwriting for other people last year, and that was really fun. I didn't even expect to make an album. It
happened.
Purely like, it was like a passion project in the evenings, and now I'm like, okay, I want to get it out there to the world. But yeah, it just came out, and I think reaching 30, a lot of it's looking back through my 20s, it's quite reflective, and yeah, really proud of it.
Yeah, you should be. I feel like throughout the whole thing, the thing that shone for me was the really strong storytelling element.
Thank you. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. I listened to a lot of, I kind of fell out of love with music a little bit after my last album, the one before this, Mountain Music. Just felt like it's such a weird time to be releasing. And I think when you're an artist, for me anyway, I was finding I was only making music 10% of the time, and the rest was like doing social media stuff.
Yeah.
Which I just get so cringed out doing, but I know it's important. And so I just wanted to delve into songwriting for a bit. And I listened to a lot of music from back in the day, of when I first fell in love with music, just to try and reconnect with it. And I was reading this book called The Artist's Way, which was amazing at like getting me out my creative block. And a lot of it was saying like, go and listen back to do things that you did when you were younger that excited you. And a lot of it was that folky storytelling music, country music. And I listened to a lot of that, and a lot of it was American, but I was like, I've not heard my story in that kind of music before. And I think like so much of it is American, like Zach Bryan singing about Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Never been to Oklahoma, but like I'm there, I'm listening to it. So I was like, what if I put like my little village in it and my stories, and hopefully people will take that into their lives how they want. So
yeah, you very much did that in I'm Coming Home, which already feels like a fan favourite, a kind of ode to where you grew up in Scotland. And like you say, you really bring it to life, the surroundings and almost the people. Yeah. And it was kind of had a bit of a Bruce Springsteen thing about it, but you're like, no, I'm going to make it my way.
Yeah,
the Scottish way.
Yeah, I just think just because there's no example of what something should be like, I haven't heard a song about where I grew up. Just because there isn't one doesn't mean there shouldn't be.
Exactly.
So yeah, like Bruce Springsteen's a huge influence on this album, and again, like just such a storyteller. So yeah, just putting Balerno out there.
Yeah, I love that. Are the village happy? Have you heard anything from anyone there?
No. All my friends have moved out.
Oh,
so,
what?
Yeah, I actually went back for the song I'm Coming Home, and it was just so weird. I was like, I used to know like everyone when I was walking around. I used to, everyone knew everything.
Yeah.
Which is kind of bad, but yeah, also quite nice. But yeah, I went back and I was like, don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the kind of visuals for the album. Was it most of it shot back home then?
So actually, my goal was to shoot it up in the Highlands.
Okay.
Because they have the mountains. But the girl I do all my visuals with, Debbie, she is an Irish queen. Love. She lives near the mountains in Wicklow in Ireland.
Oh yeah.
So she was like, come over. I know the spots.
I got you.
So I was like, okay, fully trusting you. And yeah, it was absolutely stunning. Like I thought, I've seen the Scottish Highlands. It's going to be the same as that. I got there and I was like, wow, Ireland is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It is.
I've got family in Ireland. I've never been to Wicklow though. That is meant to be like
you have
stunning.
To go. It was, absolutely just mind-blowingly beautiful. And when we did the artwork, a little rainbow came out in the back. It was just, I felt like I was in a dream. It was amazing.
So perfect.
It was, great.
And Mansion, another standout for me on the album. And this one's a bit more about like your younger years living in London.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yes. So I actually wrote it for one of my best friends who was in a situationship.
Okay.
And I just think when it's you in a situationship, it's hard to even know that you're in one. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I think when it's your friend, you can see it so clearly and you're like, oh my God, please.
Get away, you're being
Get
silly.
away, you deserve so much more. And I wanted to write a song for her because I had this metaphor of a mansion. My friend is a mansion. And it's basically saying she is this, you know, in Bridgerton, those beautiful buildings with the roses and the vines. It was basically describing her as one of these beautiful mansions in the middle of a really grey, gloomy city. And everyone's literally stopping and staring as they walk past, like, oh, she's so stunning. Do you know what I mean? But she is inside and she's got the curtain shut and she can't see her own beauty and like how many options she has. And so it's a song about opening the curtains, giving it a little dust, a little polish, giving it a little polish, little Dyson Hoover, reopening, and just remembering your worth, basically. And it's also, I was saying on my social media, it's also a bit of a song to my younger self, because I think when you're in your early 20s, I don't know, for me anyway, like I was so insecure and I think I stayed in things longer than I should have. And it's just a reminder to everyone to accept no less than they deserve.
Yeah, too right. And what was your friend's reaction to it?
She loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's out of the situationship now.
Okay, so it worked.
Yeah,
the song did the business.
Yeah.
Love that. And how do your friends and family generally feel about sometimes seeping into the music? Do they mind?
I think it's fine. I think I try and I think like really close people, I try and obviously not write bad songs about because
awkward.
I like them.
Yeah.
But if I write a bad song, I just think if you've hurt me enough to write this song, the hurt that you're going to feel from hearing the song is probably nowhere near as bad.
Yeah,
so
it's a good way to look at it.
I'm sorry, you know, these songs got to come out.
It's got to come out somewhere.
It's got to come out. And I think as well, songs are a moment in time. They're most often a very like exaggerated, emphasized version of how you're feeling. So they're dramatic, you know. I might not feel like that an hour later. So yeah. Sorry.
Swords. It all really comes out in Anger. A song all about female rage. That must have been such a good one to finish.
Yeah, it felt really good. It feels amazing playing it live as well. It's just like, oh.
Just let it all out.
Yeah, and I think as someone who's quite quiet and reserved, I experienced a lot of anger a few years ago about something and I didn't know how to get it out. Like, where do you even start? Do you know what I mean? And the song is about not knowing how to let it out, but also the song is letting it out. I think so often male rage is associated with destruction and violence. And I think female rage to me feels like a force of nature, something that is actually quite beautiful, because I think we often use our rage as fuel for something, you know, whether it's writing a book or making an album. I think we often find like a vessel for our rage. And I was in a position where I had no idea how to express what I was feeling. I went to therapy. I was still fuming after that. So
still fuming?
I was still fuming. And I feel like I just tried to bury it down and like, you know, I don't want to be labelled as crazy. So for me, songwriting was my way of getting it all out. And I think so often, so many of my friends, like female friends, use, you know, their sadness, their rage as fuel for their creative projects. And I think there's something really beautiful about that.
Parachute is an incredible moment on the album as well. Your voice on this is just next level, like the way it soars.
Thank you.
I love it so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's my favourite on the album. Again, this album has been a really cathartic experience of like getting things out and also looking inwards and sort of just embracing who I am. I think being in this industry, there's so many extroverts and like deep down, I'm so shy. I'm so introverted. I can be extroverted for about 3 hours and then I'm just like completely deadpan. Like,
need to recharge.
Social batteries need recharged. So I've probably chosen the wrong industry, but anyway. So Parachute was, I wanted to write a song about that, and I had the title Introverted in my phone notes for ages. And then it sort of came out in that song, and it's about I read this book called Quiet by Susan Cain, which I'd recommend anyone to read. And it's about being an introvert in a world of extroverts. And they've done like loads of studies on it in like universities where groups of people, have to do a task, and you think, oh, the extroverts, would do better because they're loud and they speak up. But a lot of the time the introverts had just as good ideas. They just didn't speak up. And so for me, that book really made me feel like I could embrace being a bit quiet and a bit odd, a bit awkward. And yeah, it felt like the perfect way to end the album. And yeah, it's about finding that one person that I don't know about you, but I feel like I have those people that I can just fully not have to recharge my social batteries after seeing. And it's a song about finding that one person that's like you're a parachute, essentially.
I heard you approach like the recording of this album a little bit differently. So yeah, set the scene for us. How did it go?
So yeah, it was a completely different experience. I wrote 11 out of the 12 tracks at home, and then did the demos for them. And then I was like, I want to do it Nashville style. I want to get, not country, but just the way they record there. They get a bunch of musicians in a room and they just play. And I think so often with my pop records, it's just been me and another producer, and it's all kind of programmed. But I wanted to get that real, like, authentic live musician feel. So I thought, do I go to America? And then I was like, it's a very British record. Like, it doesn't feel right to go to America. So I found this studio in Devon called Middle Farm Studios, and this producer called Peter Miles. And we definitely come from very different worlds, which excited me because I knew I wanted it to be completely different to anything I'd done before. And so I sent him the demos, and I was really nervous to hear what he would say because they were really rough. And he replied and was like, I love the songs. I think you sound like a robot in the demos, something like that. And I was like, okay. And he was like, you need to get rid of the auto-tune. We need to do this live. And I was like, yes, we do. So I went down there, drove 5 hours to just sit there for a few hours and see what his vibe was. And I loved it. And the studio, it reminds me of, do you know that Bon Iver Forever Ago album?
Oh, yeah.
Apparently that was recorded in a cabin in the woods. Like, that is what I was looking for. But a cabin big enough for
a whole band.
For a whole band. And it feels exactly like that. It looks like a big lodge. It's all like wooden and nice and cozy. And it just fitted the whole vibe of the album. And so I put my trust in Peter to put together a band. And yeah, it was really exciting. It was challenging to hear myself so raw. Like, I think pop music, you're striving for perfection. Like, you're striving to sound as good as you can. And he was like, be out of tune, like, be raspy, be out of time, but good, don't be shit.
yeah, but just be real, isn't it?
Yeah, and just embrace the imperfections. And I think in a world of like AI and forever like fast progressing technology and so many like bedroom producers, I wanted to create something that felt so human and raw and embrace that instead of trying to fight it. Because who knows, it could all be AI in a few years. We don't know, do we?
Oh God, please
we
no.
don't know. So yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, really cool.
So on your last album, Älskar,
yes.
I butchered the pronunciation.
Älskar.
Okay.
I mean, I've still got a Scottish accent when I say it. So
it sounds a bit more Swedish when you say it. Obviously, you explored your sort of Swedish heritage a bit more. Like, was that an interesting experience?
It was. I think growing up in Scotland, obviously I am very Scottish, but my mum's Swedish and she is full on Swedish. Like she's just fabulous, you know. She's
Amazing.
very like open, very like, she is an extrovert, very loud, and just culturally very different to Scottish people. So I feel like I have really grown up with Swedish culture in Scotland, which is an interesting blend.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'd only ever gone to visit my gran like every 6 months. So I hadn't met anyone outside of the family in Sweden. And I made that album in Sweden with loads of amazing producers and writers. And I just met such a community of people that I was like, oh, like, we're the same.
And you felt connected
We're the
to
same.
them.
Yeah. And so many of my good friends now are from that Swedish writing community, because
Amazing.
I was like, oh, I'm not weird. Like, we're the same.
Yeah, that's so nice.
Yeah. And just speaking about our upbringings and like just our thoughts on things really it was really nice to have that other part of me that I've always felt was a bit like jarring with Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
To be like understood. And I was like, okay.
What do you think would be your defining song from like your first couple of albums? Like if someone was listening to Nina Nesbitt for the first time,
Yeah.
where would you want them to start?
I think the song I'm most well known for is probably a song called The Best You Had. And that song really changed my life. I didn't expect it to even be a thing. It wasn't going to be a single.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No way, I love that song.
Yeah, I wrote that song 3 times. So I had the lyric, the chorus lyric. It's crazy that you're moving on so fast, but it's okay if I'm still the best you had. Had that in my notes for literally a year, and I tried to write it 3 times. So it exists in many forms. And then I went in with a producer called Jordan Miley, who's one of my favourite collaborators. And it just poured out, just came out, it literally wrote itself within half an hour. And I was like, I love this song. I just want to put it out. And yeah, it just kept going, kept streaming. That was the one that Taylor put on her playlist.
Yeah.
And then just sort of snowballed, and I've got a little plaque for it now, which is so cool.
That's so cool.
It's
Where
my
have you
only
put it?
song with a plaque, but in my studio at home. Yeah, it's, again, like, I just think things are out of your control. They just do their thing.
Your only plaque yet?
My only like actual, you know, not streaming plaque, sales plaque.
Yeah.
Which feels very odd.
What do you remember of like your debut album era now, kind of reflecting back? Obviously about to release your 4th album, but yeah, how do you feel kind of looking back on your beginnings?
Do you know, I haven't listened to that album since it came out.
At all?
At all. Apart from obviously playing it on tour. Yeah.
So you're like, remind me actually, what are the songs?
I don't know why, I just find it quite weird to listen back to. I think like I'm proud of it and I'm glad it came out, but I think it was just such a crazy time in my life. And it's almost like when you look back at old pictures, you know, and you think, oh, like I've changed so much, I've come so far. And it was just a really wild time in my life, and putting that album out was really, really stressful. Like I feel like there was so much pressure with the label, and there was a lot of outside influence on it with trying to get the records for radio and stuff like that. And yeah, it was like a tricky album to make, but yeah, it's so weird looking back.
And it did well though, didn't it? It got
did
you know,
really
number 1 in
well.
Scotland, which
It
must have felt like such a moment.
Yeah, it did.
Charted in, obviously in the UK album chart as well. But
yeah,
do you just feel like, there was almost so many voices making that record, it's hard to really distill the emotion a bit?
Yeah, I think in a way I wish I could go back and know what I know now and almost not do it again, but just be a bit more of a diva, you know, a bit more confident in myself and not compromise things. But I am really proud of a lot of the songs on there. It's just like,
it's like, oh, I'm different now.
It's my teenage self.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet. I suppose that's the thing though, isn't it? Breaking into an industry when you're really young, you sort of do some of your growing up.
Oh my God.
In public.
Totally. Yeah. My I've definitely learnt my craft on the job, But I think it's kind of nice in a way. You can look back and go, oh, I've come a long way.
Yeah. And you've smashed your craft. Obviously such an established songwriter now, not only for your music, but for other artists as well. Mm-hmm. You get involved in the production. How do you find that, writing for other artists, kind of like switching hats?
I absolutely love it. I love songwriting's my favourite thing ever. I had the privilege of working with so many amazing artists last year. And I think it actually really helped me make this album, because I think I work in so many different genres, R&B, dance, pop, singer-songwriter. And I think just seeing those artists in those lanes and how confident they are, and how, just, for example, I'm trying to think of who, like Tyler Lewis, for example. I have a song on her EP. She's an upcoming artist.
She's amazing.
By the way, she's amazing.
Yeah, I absolutely love her.
Everyone needs to listen to her.
I'm already like superstar.
Absolute future superstar. Everyone needs to listen to her. Her voice is just incredible. Like, she knows what she is. She's amazing. And I think working with so many of these artists in different genres made me like really think, what do I want to do? Like, what is my lane? And I think the folky stuff, picking up an instrument, like that's where I feel most comfortable. I love the pop music. I have 2 left feet, so I'm not going to start dancing. So I think no one wants to see that. So I think, I found a lane that I'm really comfortable in through songwriting. So and it's such a good feeling when someone else puts a song out that you've been involved in. It's
what's been your favourite like cut that you've had? I suppose maybe some of the songs that you're really passionate about aren't out yet, actually.
I have one coming out soon with Perrie, who is just the most incredible vocalist, songwriter, person, like so lovely, so down to earth. It's called Me, Myself and You. And writing that with her it was such a lovely experience, because she came in and she just wanted to write a song from the heart that meant something to her, and to hear her singing it. Like, do you know, sometimes when I'm writing a song and then I go to sing it and I'm like, I can't belt like that. It's just not sounding how it was in my head. Well, when Perrie's in the room, you can write whatever and it's going to sound, you can write those big notes and she's going to belt them. So that was a very, very satisfying experience.
What do you think's the biggest things that you've learned about songwriting? Like, if anyone was looking to improve their craft, like what would be your kind of top tips?
A few things. I would say, if you're starting out, collaborating. Even if you are one of these people like me who's a bit of a hermit, who likes sitting by themselves with a guitar, just push yourself to get out there and work with people that are different to you. I think working in so many different rooms for different genres has allowed me to realise what I'm good at and what I'm not so good at. And then teaming up with people who are the opposite. So you've got like, the best of like both ends combining, if that makes sense. Collaborating. I think you learn so much about yourself, so much about different styles of music. You get inspired by seeing how other people top line, how people produce. And I think that's a really good way. And secondly, I just think there's no rules. I think a lot of the time you can go into a session and people are like, what's the verse? What's the pre? What's the chorus? And it's like, whatever. Like, if it sounds good and it feels good, I'm a big fan of songs that just flow. Like, they just feel...
Not overthinking it.
Yeah, anyway, they just feel good. Like, I'm definitely like, find some chords and sing into a microphone until it's a song. Like, I'm not too methodical. I know a lot of people are, but just don't overthink it. Just feel it.
I wondered how it is having songs written about you. Obviously everyone will know Nina by Ed Sheeran, which obviously he wrote and released shortly after you dated. Did it bother you, or is it just one of those things, you're a songwriter, he's a songwriter, you kind of just know it's going to come out in the music, right?
Yeah, I think it's just going to come out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you've probably had some songs in the past, it just is what it is.
Yeah, there should be a disclaimer on songwriters, really, but I think like it is what it is, really. I've definitely written songs about other people. So, but yeah, it was tricky because I never wanted to be known as someone's ex-girlfriend.
Of course.
And I think Obviously, he gave me amazing opportunities of touring with him and everything, and I'm really like super grateful for that. But on the other hand, I was like, oh, I think I've had to fight that for so long. You know, articles about my albums and being described as someone's ex is just so disheartening after all the work and years that I've put into it. So
that's something that only happens to women as well, isn't it?
It only happens to women. I mean, you literally see it with Selena Gomez, Taylor Swift, like people who are massive, and it is frustrating. But I think it also just drives me to keep going and just be known as a musician.
Yeah, exactly. Keep doing your thing, making your own name. Totally get that. You've obviously been making music and sharing it online since you were, 14, 15?
Yeah, 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you must have had some like ups and downs during that time. And I think sometimes on this podcast, it's really like useful to do a bit of real talk. Like what are the things that you've really struggled with in the music industry?
Oh my God, where do I start?
How long have we got?
Recently, so it's more relevant maybe, I really struggle with social media, and I know it's obviously so important, but I think it has such like a negative effect on the way you can view something that you've created in such like a pure place. Like, I think it can be so disheartening if you think you've written your best song ever and you upload it and no one sees it, or like just doesn't hit the algorithm. And I think, it can make you view your song differently. And I think I'm trying to be really conscious of that, because I've had things go viral before and I know they're not my best songs. Like, they've kind of just been a bit of a joke or whatever. Or for some reason they've just got loads of views, and I'm trying to separate my thoughts about my music and what goes off on social media, because I think it can be disheartening and you can feel like you're not really going anywhere, no one's seeing it. And I think all it takes is consistency and that one thing to connect, and you could overnight have a whole new fan base. So I think that's weird. And like, they run ads a lot these days. I don't know if you've seen all that.
I do seem to get a lot in my feed, and I'm like, what's going on
It's
here?
a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's quite annoying as a viewer.
Yeah.
Like, I never want to be an ad, just so you know. But I just think there's so many people out there, like, they just do it. And some of the comments you receive, like, I'm 30 and I still take it to heart. Like, it still really gets to me. And I think it's really tough to have thick skin.
It is, really. I think we can all like give that chat sometimes, I don't care. But then it's like, actually, you do see a comment and it's hurtful, isn't it?
It's crushing, yeah. Just like, to be real financially, it's just, I know obviously I'm in a position where I can tour and I can sell tickets, and that's great. But like, touring in 2024 just feels, I don't know how new artists are doing it.
And
like,
internationally
it's worrying
as well, it's so difficult now, isn't it?
Oh
for
my
people?
God, I don't even know how I'm gonna leave the UK to go anywhere, to be honest. And even for my UK tour, like, it was literally going to cost me like a five-figure sum just to do 3 dates in the UK, and they're like, one of them's 1,200 capacity, and that's just the band. Like, it just worries me that new musicians coming through won't be able to do it. I just think it's just like a difficult time, and like, so many more people are doing it independently as well, so they don't have the tour support from the major labels. So I think like a lot of my friends that I speak to are experiencing similar things. So that's a bit tricky, to be honest, but the show must go on.
The show must go on. And you mentioned that you are going to be touring in the UK. You must be so excited.
I am excited, yeah. And I'm just so excited to bring this album to life. I think back in the day I would always test songs out on tour, but because I literally didn't do anything in the public world for about a year and a half, I wrote this album at home in like my little studio room, so no one's heard
so
these
exciting,
things. Yeah, it's exciting.
I'm so excited to watch this album fly as well. I really do think it's going to connect with people. Nina Nesbitt, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nina, everybody!
Thank you.
Love chatting to Nina with my whole soul. A real one for sure. And if you enjoyed this episode of the Eras podcast, please give us a rating and a review. It will help us get discovered by lots more people. It really is super appreciated. This is a Good Karma production recorded at Metropolis Studios. And that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you soon.